What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And if you remember, about a month or so ago, I first reviewed the dashboard platform by Market Makers Method, and I wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up with you guys because I've been enjoying this tool so far, and it's actually helped me catch a couple good trades. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more in-depth review of this platform now that I've actually been kind of using it and trying it out for about a month. They set me up with a demo, and if you have any interest in actually getting the tool yourself, there is information in the description. There should be a promo code and a link to get set up if you have any interest in getting this tool for yourself. So let's talk about this. I think the best way to talk about it is just to talk a little bit about some of the examples or the ways that I am using it. And there's a perfect example right now because of a trade that I am currently in. So let me just show you guys before I switch to MetaTrader to show you my actual trade. You can see that this actually printed here. This is a PFH. Basically, if you remember, we can go back to this legend here, and this is going to tell us some information. So a peak formation high is basically the topping point or the start of a potential new trend, okay? A PFH is considered a bearish trend starting, and a PFL is considered a bullish trend starting. Well, check this out. So we got a PFH, so a bearish trend starting here on USD ZAR. Now, if you're inside of the A1 trading community, then you know this is a trade that I called out that I took myself, and we've seen some good profits on so far. So what I'm going to do is we'll come back to the dashboard and talk more about the features that I've been using, but let me just first show you guys the actual trade and why I ended up taking it. So we'll jump over to MetaTrader in just a second, but just remember that we basically saw this peak formation high. We saw these topping candles in an overall dominant downtrend. That's the big piece for me because, you know, still with all my price action trading, I'm still using my technicals, I'm still using my risk management, but this tool gives me some confluence. So I'll keep it open in a tab and keep an eye on what the different readings are. So this formed. Let's go take a look at MetaTrader and see how things are going on this trade. Okay, and here we are on MetaTrader. You can see I ended up taking a short position at this level, just like the dashboard had kind of called out. You can see there's the same topping point. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. It'd be easier to see. But the idea here is that I ended up taking a short position around the same level when that actually got called out by the dashboard, right? And then the other piece is I was still using my technicals, of course. You can see, for example, if I just enter a quick level of resistance, you can see here's my trade, and here's kind of the technicals behind it too. We have previous support, price comes down and breaks through that level, and I say, okay, well, now the trend is clearly down, and if price returns to this area, I'm going to be looking for signals to get short. Well, that signal came from two parts. Number one, it came from, of course, my technical zone that I liked as a resistance point and the overall dominant downtrend, but it also became more confident for me, and I took slightly larger of a position size because we had that peak formation high printed from the dashboard. So it was another confluence factor to my trade. And so that's how I use the dashboard so far. Is I'm doing everything that I normally would do, but the peak formation highs and peak formation lows give me extra confirmation in some of my trades. And that is really, really fitting to my style. If you're like me and you like to trade with trends, this was perfect because we had a downtrend, right? But we were seeing some rally here, and it was a question of, okay, well, when is this downtrend likely to continue most? Well, I like this resistance area, but let's look for other confirmation. And bam, we got the peak formation high, which gave me extra confirmation to take the short trade. And you can see at this point, we were up quite a bit on this trade. And now I've got a stop moved to break even, just how I personally like to trade. I've moved stops to break even, and I've got a trade here, right? Not a trade, a take profit here. So if price does decide to roll over, then great, we'll take profit. And if price decides to come back, at least we have a break-even trade and a risk-free trade. So either ways, I'm happy with how this position closes out. The big point here is that with extra confirmation, we can increase the accuracy of our trades, including, all the things that we usually do, technical analysis and that sort of thing. But with using something like dashboard, we can look for extra confirmation that can give us a little bit of more confidence in some of the trades we're taking. So now it's back to dashboard. Well, there's a lot of different features that I love about this tool. The biggest ones, again, of course, being those trend confirmation tools. You can see that we've actually got, if we scroll out here on USD ZAR, which has been a pretty interesting pair. I've liked trading it recently. You can see it actually was calling trends back here, and then we got an extra confirmation. So I forgot to mention that in the previous one. We had already been in that downtrend, right? It had already scouted that, okay, we're in a strong downtrend here. But then we started to get this rally, and this was really interesting to me because it was a pullback setup for me. And then we got that extra confirmation. So these two things definitely help to call that great downtrend that we're seeing on USD-ZAR. So obviously the readings there are very, very helpful. But not only that, I really have been enjoying this tool as a scanner because this scans for different statuses, right? So we can actually filter by what we want to look for. Show me, higher rating PFLs, for example. Let's take a look at Euro New Zealand. You can see here's a very, very long, strong trend that has been scouted by this tool. So you can actually filter how big of a PFL or PFH you want to look for. For example, like I said, we've got Euro New Zealand here showing a very, very strong PFL or a peak formation low, showing that, okay, the downtrend here looks to be ending, and now we're seeing a strong rally. And now that trend is still going. So this would be considered a very strong trend because we've got such a high reading, a 20 PFL. So with that said, what about GBP-ZAR? This one is even more strongly trending to the downside than our previous one, showing a very, very strong downtrend on GBP ZAR. Now, before we were looking at USD ZAR, which is the one that I took a trade on, but if we were to see a rally here on this chart, GBP ZAR, maybe there's something to think about looking for a pullback setup and looking for another PFH, right? And with this tool, you can look for extra confirmation, look for all the technical setups that you normally do. For example, the cool thing about this is if you have an idea, you can also chart within here. So we can jump in here and show off, we've got this resistance level as well. Well, what if we see something like this where price shoots up and then we hit into this zone of resistance, but we also get a peak formation high? Well, that could be extra confirmation to look for sell setups in this area, to look for the confirmation to the downside that we're trying to find, right? Same cookie cutter setup that USD ZAR printed and was actually a profitable scenario. So you have to start thinking about those, confirmations in confluence with each other, right? When you have multiple things lining up, that's where you're going to get your best trades. You're going to get lots of reasoning behind a trade that give you the best opportunities for setups. And I also like that, from a very quick glance, I can see what everything in this market is doing just by the color of this PFLs and PFHs. What I mean by that is, well, if we see that all of these are red, that means that we've printed some highs and, peak formation highs, and we're in downtrends. So I can very quickly see what we are actually looking at. So I know Euro Aussie right off the bat that we're seeing a downtrend. Check out Euro Aussie. We've got a strong downtrend up here. And now in a pullback, we're seeing a new peak formation high as well, which is solid, trend following continuation. One way I've been thinking about you could even consider with this strategy would be to look for multiple peak formation highs and looking to continue that, because now okay, not only do I have one peak formation high, if I have multiple, that means the trend has been very, very solid, and those can be some of your best trend following sort of scenarios. I also like that if I just want to look at any particular market, it's really easy for me to look up. I can even sort it. So if I want to look at all the Aussies and all the CADs and all the Euros, right? For example, take a look at this confluence across the board with the Aussie pairs. This is really cool. You've got all of the Aussie pairs, and you can see here that all of them are very strongly bullish right now. So it almost acts as like a currency strength meter, as well as kind of a technical pullback finder, which I really like because it all fits my trading style. So again, there is information in the description if you have any interest in getting this tool for yourself. I'm sure that they will also be happy to talk to you if you want to chat with them. There will be information for that as well. But this is how I've used it so far. I've caught some good trades with it. It's helped me find some good pullback opportunities, and I love how strong the scanner actually is for looking for just generally what the market is doing as a whole. And then if you remember, we do have some other things. New peaks is one more thing. That's going to be your check marks, right? So for example, New Zealand yen is showing a start to a new trend. And that's basically really, really interesting too, because if you see these check marks, these are going to tell you markets that are starting to trend the other way. Might be good for those of you guys who like looking for trying to jump into trends early on. right? So just something to think about. There's all different ways that you can actually use the dashboard. I'm not going to say that there's one strategy that's, one size fits all. It's really cool because it gives you lots of different options to go think about and to go try and implement in your own trading. Of course, do your own due diligence, see if it's a tool for you. I personally really like it so far, and I think you should check it out and at least go ask some questions and see if it's a fit for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy holidays, and we will see you back in the next video.